Top of the morning to you. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm still finishing my breakfast. What a morning I had. In the last couple of years I've been doing this show, I'm Michael. The grandkids call me Roo. I don't think I've ever overslept until today. And I didn't even set an alarm last night. Carol and I came in late from an event in Charlotte. And I just went, all right, I'm just going to crash. And I did. And it was pretty remarkable. I'm having a little tomato cheese melted over a light piece of wheat toast, and I had some honey. Woo-hoo-hoo. Not just any honey. I'm not going to show you this because it's just kind of I'll show you this piece of toast here. This is just with sourwood honey. Oh my goodness, sourwood. My favorite honey. Carol brought me a pound from the mountains. She was there visiting with a couple of ladies, and she said, hey, I bought you some sourwood. And I said, you brought me some or bought me some? Because there's two different things, and she bought it. And I said, wow. Took me back immediately to my last year at home with my dad outside of Knoxville, right in Knoxville, Tennessee, actually. And I feel like a food show. And he said, we're going to put up some sourwood. We moved our bees. I know some of you know the story. The bees, we moved from Knoxville down toward Crossville, Cookeville, Tennessee, where the sourwoods came in bloom. He had 60 hives and supers on each one, sometimes as many as 6 or 7 supers. And that summer I helped him put up, or late summer, we put up 6.5 tons of sourwood. It's 13,000 pounds. And it was selling for $1.25, $1.50 a pound back then. This was this 1 pound jar she brought me from this beekeeper there, because it's been hard to get lately. And bees are more scarce. $28. I'm going to eat it like it's a truffle, like it's truffle oil. So I'm barely just putting a few drops on it going, oh my goodness. Savor this sourwood. It is just a brilliant taste. So there's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I hope you're well. Thank you for being on. I literally woke up, I don't know, maybe 8:30. And I went, this is so great. What day is it? I made a cup of tea, did my piece of toast, which I'm usually a biscuit guy, I did a commercial for Bojangles a few years ago, and I wrote a line in there that said, you ever eat toast by yourself? Because if you eat toast, you're eating by yourself. You're just like, I made a piece of toast. Biscuits say community. Biscuits say, come on, we're doing something. And so I shot a biscuit commercial for them, and it was kind of fun. I did it very differently. In fact, so differently, they used it for a season, and then they never asked me to come back because they said, well, it's more fun when we have famous stars who come in. And I said, well, I used your people making your biscuits. And anyway, such is life. All right, well, glad I'm on the show. Holy smokes, what a morning I've had. Wait, let me get my plate out of the way because I don't want you to see that when I open my picture. There it is right there. Finally. Got all the cheese crumbs out of the way here. I also did a piece of bread with a little mayo. 2 slices of tomato and a piece of cheese, some sliced cheese over that. Just get the cheese slicer out and slice up some and broil that. Man, I'm hungry. Welcome to the show. Good grief. Kim Sheets, thanks for being on. Randall Taylor Craven, Alice Durham, Denise Albright, Karen Binder, Lori Stanley Handelmeyer Henderson, Jason Nichols, welcome to the show. Sharon Caldwell, glad to have you. Pat Brooks, love to have you on the show, my dear friend. Kathy Murrow, Fern Skelly, it is Saturday. Man, that's why I woke up thinking, what a great, went to bed thinking, all right, got to get up, got to finish some editing today. I've been working on a little project for Coca-Cola here locally. I did a little live piece from that. Wanted to clarify, that's the Coca-Cola Consolidated Bottling Company. They're the largest footprint of bottlers, Coca-Cola Bottling Company I think in the nation now, from St. Louis over. And so I go in and do some video work for them every now and then, some onboarding for them. So I wasn't in Atlanta in the Coke department. And yeah, there's a difference in philosophy of ministries between the president who runs Coca-Cola Bottling Company, unbelievable guy, just wonderful, man. Has missionary organization that his family runs and supports in Africa. It's really a fun event, but he's very bold about his mission vision statement. And so other companies come in and they go, we just don't understand how you can put your beliefs on your mission statement like that. And he goes, I'm the president of the company. I can do it. He's a great guy to have lunch with. And he inspires me to be bold. So that's where I came in. I was there. So I shot a lot. My son works for them, and they called him in and said, we need these ideas. And so he called me and he said, hey, could you come and help do this? And so, it's the Tom Sawyer thing. You know, my son is good at saying, hey, Dad, help me paint my fence. And I'm like, wow, who taught you that? So glad to have you on the show today, but that's where I was. And I just lost track of time. And then last night, this event, I'm going to tell you a little more about the event that I spoke at last night and what I did. Deborah Lynn Tauber, thank you for being on. Kathy Morrill, Gene Enthalzer, Stephen Dockery, good morning. Jason Nichols Stevens said he just watched the documentary. I must have been about Hank. Man, if you haven't seen the documentary I was talking about last week about Hank, you got to see it. Flapjacks, Coffee, and Creativity. Betsy Soblowski, thanks for being on the show. Missed you all. Life gets busy. Well, don't let it get too busy to be able to dip that brush in the paint every now and then and make a creative expression, Betsy. Glad you're back. Linda Lindhart, thank you for being on the show all the way from Orlando. I'm heading down your way. I think I'm going to skip over. I think I'm in St. Augustine shooting one day next week. I had to Atlanta Monday to shoot video, and then I think I'm in St. Augustine. I think I'm in Ocala one day. In Ocala, a word that means big mosquito. I think so. Karen Smith, going to shoot a camp, shoot some promo stuff, or not promos, but really some development stuff for a camp there for them to help raise money. The camp's been there once again. Another camp in Young Life has been there 50 years. It's called Camp Southwind. A lot of disability. It's a no zero line, so there's no steps there. Great, because you're in Florida, you don't need a whole lot of steps. But everything's ramped out so wheelchairs can go through. It's pretty cool. Linda Schleitning, thank you for being on. Catherine Brousseau, Mary Hamilton, Pat Normandale, Mary Golly. John, thanks for being on the show. Virginia Mann, Karen Pikert. I think I said hi to Kim, Timberly Marie, Deborah Spangler, Sue Kane. Always a welcome to have you from across the pond. Mickey Hupp, Michael Ashburn. Come on, Michael says, I get to preach from the pulpit tomorrow, pray I don't oversleep. Yeah, man, me too. It's always good when you run in late just as the choir finishes the last song and you go, okay, where was I here? Oh, yeah, today. Love it. All right, Heather Kuhlman, thanks for being on the show. Laura Abbott, Elaine Barnett, Cindy Wiltermood. Cindy, your painting has just blown us all away. We all kind of have our hair, and listen, I have a lot of hair to blow back. It's like, whoa. You have a gift, so I hope the good Lord puts you in a place where all your art starts to develop and build. It's just phenomenal. Thanks for being a part of this show. Crystal McKelvey, Andrea Nell. Look at all the folks. Love it, love it, love it. Terry Tardy, good morning to you. Thanks for being on the show all the way out from Coos Bay, Oregon. Julie Walden. All right, here we go. I'm going to get started here. Lynn Miner, just a couple names I haven't seen in a while. Teresa Amrick, thank you. Nancy Catlett. Cheryl A. Wickman Hoffman. You know, Cheryl, I love your name. I'm just glad I didn't have it in the first grade because I would have still been there when the bus ran going like, I got it right, the rest of my name. Okay, so I'm fast brain, right? All right, Sharon Kirk Clifton, thanks for being on the show too. All right, here we go. Let me roll it up here. Gosh, it's a full morning already. Let's paint something. You know, Saturdays, lots of times I like to just, I got to be careful because this is a brand new shirt. No, I thought, no, I hung that one back up last night. This is my one that has one spot on it. But I'm going to paint something kind of loose and wild, and I'm going to use these colors. Had a great talk with Cheap Joe's this week. They've called and invited me to teach a class for them. And they know my story. They know that Some days I can't paint my way out of a bag, but they know that my heart is for pushing other people to do their best. And sometimes that's what I get to do with you. Most days that's what I get to do with you: push and say and go. And so in March of next year, and I still am not done with the journaling thing. I'm still dealing with the folks in Jekyll, so that's still on the boards. And before the end of this month, I will make a hard, cold decision on time and rates and all that. And rates not from me, but rates from the place. So I'll give you all that if it's still a go. I'm waiting to see. Want to find a flat place to do it, a kind of place to do it in the fall, kinder than probably Maine in the fall. Could be a little brisk and cold, but lots of places to eat out, to paint outside. Eat outside. Food's on my mind. So I'm going to give you an answer on that for before this month is out. I'll give you an answer on a painting time in October that might be a journal time, like a 3-day gather journal thing in Jekyll. And then next March in Black Mountain, North Carolina, at Montreat Anderson College, I'll be doing an art event for Cheap Joe's. And I think quite a few artists are coming in and different things. And there's you don't contact them yet. There's not even a page. In fact, it's going through another organization. So they won't have the information on it, and that page is not even up and running. There's no signups for it yet. I'll just keep you posted. This is the first that's been said about it publicly, and I told Megan I might just say, because that's just me, I might just say it. Can't keep a secret. Might just say, hey, guess what? So that's kind of where I'm going with that, okay? Wondering how one transfers a swarm of bees. Pat Evans says that. Well, Pat, the first thing you got to do is get yourself something to put the bees in. Tupperware works well. No, I'm just kidding. You got to find the queen. It depends on where they are. And here's the deal. Get someone who's brave enough to pick through there and find the queen. If you get her out, you put her in a new brood box. And you set that box next to the swarm, and guess what? They'll follow her right in there. Sounds really simple. It's not. Make sure you're in your bee gear, because, there's all these, the old timers, my dad would say, yeah, bees won't see you when they're swarming. Not true if you reach in there. But I have seen him pick through the bees, 50,000 of them with his bare hands, going like, I know she's right in here somewhere. Look, they're buzzing and waggle dancing and moving all down in here, and he'd reach in there and he'd get her, put her in a little container, a little corks on the ends of it, move her over to the hive. Another box would have some brood frames set in there, but you want room for them to come in. You can change that later. See, I've done that with my dad. And have I been stung? No. Was I spider bit one time? Yes. Never let him forget it. Have some students who want to transfer their B's to A's. Yeah, that costs money, Jason. If you want to transfer B's to A's, it costs money. All right, here we go. So all of that to say about Cheap Joe's and paint. I'm still painting with, I've made a solid commitment. It only took me, 3 years online. This is the paper I'm sticking with. I'm just going to stay with it as long as I can. Let me focus. I was running around setting cameras up this morning, and I don't think I focused the camera. There it is right there. Kilimanjaro. I said I'll do this if I get a couple blocks of Kilimanjaro. I want to paint with this original bright white. Is my favorite. I love it. I love it. I love it. And here's why I love it so much. I'm not saying it's better than other paper. I'm not going to go that route or that argument with you, and it's not worth it. If you have Canson you love, if you have, I don't care. You just start naming papers. It doesn't matter. If you have painted on it well enough to know it and know what it does and how it affects your stroke, your brushes, your colors, then stay with it. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So you hear me not saying, oh, if you don't have this paper, you'll never, I would never say that. First of all, I would never tell this group that, that you're never going to be a good artist because so many of you are already better than me. I just say, use what you get used to, use what you love. And this is why I push in the painting shows that I do and the classes to keep working and practicing and finding the paper that really zings. There are certain journals that I like, okay? The paper that I do in my travel journals, which is in moleskin, is not the greatest watercolor paper. It's just not. But that doesn't matter because I'm out in the field and I've learned how it works and I know how to use it. And when I get home, I don't have this full stack. I have this long book of this. You know what it's like when it unfolds and it's 12 and a half feet long or 12 feet long. And it does just perfect for my trips to keep up with. So that's the accordion journal, or what's called the concertina, or it's a Japanese watercolor journal made by Moleskine. And if we go to Jekyll, this is what we'll paint out of. If you want to, you don't have to. But this is what I'll actually include one of these in the class, so you'll have it. And it's, I think they're about $16 or something like that. I don't think I can get them wholesale, but that's what they are. And so many of you have seen this on the show. This was my main trip. I have one from Paris here. I have one ready to go to Israel. That trip was shut down a year ago, and I probably don't have the money for it now. But anyway, so this may be, this is friends. In fact, I always paint a large painting in the back. And so this is my journal there. The flight, the coffee, the art stores, Monet's garden, Montmartre, all the things I saw around town. There's a coffee cup about every 3 pages because I sit down and had a little coffee or something. Those are my favorite journals to paint in, because here's why. I don't have to keep up with loose pages. I don't have to wait until they're dry. I don't have to do this. I can just close it and I go. This paper dries very quickly. So I get used to that, and I can carry my little tin with me, whether it's my little toy tin or my Altoid tin or a little bronze tin, brass tin that I have. The point is, I know how that paper reacts. So I just made a decision this past week to say, I'm done buying other watercolor papers. This and this and this and this. I may have a hot press or two, but it'll still be Kilimanjaro. I'm just going to go with Kilimanjaro paper because finally, after all these years, I love the look of it. With these colors and how it pops. So I said it. Not throwing off on your paper, and some of you you'll start naming them, and you'll say, oh, but I love this, or I love that, or I love, and that's great. Stay with it. Stay with your budget. Stay with this. But I've been painting for 12 years now, or a little over that. And I started with this paper, and I keep weaving in and out, and I probably use it I've been using it 95% of the time. So here I am. Boom. Done. American Journey paints. I'm going to stay with them. I like their light fast. I like the smoothness. I like the way they work in my brushes, Joe's brushes, and I also like the way that they work in with my Japanese brushes. I just like the feel of how they sweep the colors in. And throw those two out right there, and throw this big one back. Okay, and I hang my bamboo brushes up like this, just so the lines go out. And it's not any big sophisticated hanging thing. They actually make these things that sit on your desk. Like I need something sitting on my desk to go, hey, oh yeah, let me go get my brushes. So I just take a little brass rod, there it is right there, cut a piece of it, hang them on there, and I got a couple push pins in the wall right up here above my desk, and I hang them up there. No fuss, no muss. All right. Here we go. So today, because it's a Saturday and because I'm running late, and because the last 2 of these roosters that I did, I sent them off to Jason up in New Jersey for your art event. Thank you for that post, Jason, and for the kind words that you guys wrote, copied, pasted, pulled, put together, embellished, flattered. Thank you. I just thought that event was remarkable. I wasn't even there. I did do Zoom, but I could hear some response from the audience. And I just love the fact that you're inspiring young people as a community, as a city, to move forward with art. Huge, 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 huge. My wife spent a lot of her time doing that in Florida, going through the school systems and saying, don't get rid of art and music, you knuckleheads. I don't think she said knuckleheads. That's just not her style. But that's my style. You knuckleheads. All right, so here we go. So these are P.H. Martin. I love them. I do get these at Cheap Joe's. P.H. Martin Hydrus, Hydrus. I talk about them often. They're about $8 or $9 a little bottle, and promise you, these are going to last you unless you just pour it out and spill them. Which when you're done opening it, put the lid back on it right then. Okay. unless you spill them, these are going to last you a long time because a little drop, as they say, a little dab will do you. It was in an old commercial from years ago. So I keep them in a little iPhone box. Look at that. Yeah, I'm pretty high class, huh? Look at that. They fit right in an iPhone box. Is that not spectacular? The last one just wedges right in there. That's pretty cool, huh? iPhone and Hydrus worked this out. Not a chance. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. So today I'm going to scribble a little roo on there with a number 2 fountain pen, a preppy pen if it works. No, I'm not. I'm just going to grab I'm going to grab this pen. I'm going to grab my old standby Pentel needle tip liquid gel, inner gel. Here we go. Needle tip. People still send me notes and say, gosh, I don't know how you get those inner gel pens to bleed like they do. Mine just doesn't write well. And I'll realize that they bought a ballpoint and not a needle tip. Yeah, so needle tip is the ones that I use. And you know how I know that? Because I threw several ballpoints away until I found the needle tips, okay? All right, here we go. A little music. My granddaughter just said, is he going to paint? Maybe, maybe not. Tell him he's a storyteller most of the time. He gets locked up in the world. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, here we go. Is he going to paint? I think he's going to paint now. Wait, he's painting with clear paint. No, he's painting with water. And he's not painting it solid. He's just letting the water dance around a little bit. Put that one up there thinking that would be the high place I'd go. It's my favorite part of doing this. It never gets old to me. A few splatters. Grab some of this ultramarine blue. You have to clap to the time of the music, and then you drop it. Are you ready? Boom. Was that on timing or what? Don't you love it when that happens? And then just let the paint go with the water. I see something I want to change right here. I want to catch some of that water that's going down there. I don't want it to go down too deep. Then I want to turn my brush around. Start pushing some of this around like this, just letting my brush dance through here. A little bit of red in there would look quite nice, I think. Boom. And I'm going to put some red here. I'm going to put some red here, just with the eyedropper itself. They call it an eyedropper. I don't know why I would want to drop that in my eye. Check one. Yeah, that's on, I think. Here we go. This is a great piece of music to paint with, I'll tell you that. I might have to play it again. I think I need a little bit of yellow. I think I need a little green, so I'm going to take some of this yellow and put it right there to get myself a little green. Just use the 3 primary colors so far. There they are. Grab a little bit of green right here, because that's going to create the earth down here. Love those bamboo brushes when you push them like that. It's got a little peak right in there, so I'm going to bring some of this blue down and make a little brown right in here. A little more of that brown and blue. There it is right there. A little dark down here in the bottom end of the rooster. See, that's just with 3 colors. Don't you love it when that happens? But I think this needs to be a little more purple, so I'm going to bring some blue down in that too. Then I'm just going to let this play into its orange and leave a little bit of white right in here. Don't you love that? Yeah, I think we're just about done here. Oops, had a little green in my brush there. Got a little beak, or green on his beak there. Almost said he must have a head cold, but that wouldn't sound nice after I hadn't finished my breakfast. Okay, so. And I'm going to pull this napkin. Remember, I've got an eraser in the paper towel, so I can push in there. Just let it lighten up some places and take it in. Just with my thumb. Get this sort of rainbow effect right here. It's kind of cool. I've lost about 25 paper towels. Here they are, right there. Didn't have my act together this morning before I started because I slept late. Dropped another little blue on there. Pat says, just brand KB just bought Arteza. Yeah, by the way, Arteza paper is really good. Painted on that for a while. So just here, you can paint on. I painted on it. It's nice paper. Sometimes if you get the bright white one, it really does a great job too. I enjoy that paper. I just made a decision to, and part of it was I said, okay, I'll do this class for Cheap Joe's. And so I just made a decision that I would go with their paper full time. So it made it easy for them. I'm sure they'll do a store there. And so that's always fun because people see art and then they say, oh, I want to make art like that. And I say, well, it doesn't make all the difference in the world, but your style, it does. I'll promise you, if you do a good painting on a piece of professional cotton, Canson, you'll go back to it just because you will. Or an Italian paper, or Hanamula, which is great paper, by the way. Yes. All right, so there's the first little root. Skinny little legs here. I might add to those legs. I feel like they're just a little skinny, so I did that by just bringing the pen in. See that? That leg was way too skinny, so I just corrected on the fly. So I'll grab some of this yellow, orange, red right here just to give that a little bit of a color beat and come into the lines. This is where the lines can really help you. Not the lines like we're in the lines den with Daniel, but you get my drift here. Okay, so kind of full in the feathers, a little more full than I really wanted him to do, so I'm going to just take him loose. I'm going to add his eye right here, and I have to be careful not to put my hand down on that, so I'm just going to do a little spot right here, and then come around. Don't labor over the eyes too much, just punch it in there. This is not an eye that you're seeing like some of your bird eyes that have to be so succinct and so different, which I love, by the way. Some of you have gotten really great at painting eyes. Let me see if I can break this piece loose here. Could have broken it loose before I started, because now I'm going to have a mess on my hands, but I think I can still do it. Drop this little tool in right there and just slip it under this paper. This is a watercolor, oh shucks, look, just what I did. See that? I knew I was going to do that. Didn't rip it, just had some green on my fingers out here, so let me see if I can clean some of that up. Just go in here. If not, I'll just paint a little tree out of it or color it with sky. But let me wet that up really well, like right here, like this. Just throw some water on there. Just give it a little scrub with a clean paper towel and see if we can remove some of it. There's some of it out of the way. And then while that's still wet, I'll just throw a little bit of blue sky out there. Blue sky smiling at me. Nothing but blue sky. Do I see? Blue days all gone. Nothing but blue sky from now on. I could bring more of this green in if I wanted to right here and just pull some of this in, just some scrub brush. Love how this just kind of dances around and makes some grass and looseness. Come in and do a little detail. Once it starts to dry a little bit with my pen, love it here because I can come in up here too and catch a little bit of these. What I like to paint are these little areas where this rooster looks like I look today when he just gets out of bed early and goes, man, that was a rough night. So a lot of water I added this morning. Just threw it all over this piece of paper, and then taking this piece of paper off wet, I didn't help myself any. But this is what happens sometimes when you paint quick and fast. You'll make a little mess. But I'm not complaining. I kind of like where it's going here. Just a few splatters around like this. And Just turn the page so they all don't look like they were splattered from the same direction. Just want to get a little more blue on my shirt to match the red spot that's already there. Come back in with this pen right here and do a few little squiggly, just push my pen. In fact, I've even been known to take one of these, if I find one of these Pentel number 5s and just kind of come in and use it as a paintbrush, pick up some of the color in it like this, and just pull the color in with a little bit of that. And I'll dip this in the water and clean it out some, but take a look. What's happening here is I'm going in here and in this wet paint, I'm just grabbing some little marks, but I'm letting the paint mark using the pen tip as a brush. Okay, so I like these, I like these little follicles. I like these little hairs. I like the little knobs and the furrows and the impurities that are on chicken skins. Kind of make me think of myself when I look in the mirror. I mean, after all, I'm a rooster. And so there we go. This line comes across here. That leg's in the back side. This one's in the front. Some more little, and it's always fun to come in here and just do some little feathers that kick back like this. And watch, I'm going to show you what I'm doing these. Can you see those little pieces I'm putting in there like this? Like they're underbelly feathers of the rooster. Okay, maybe start a couple of them even right up here. Watch, I'll show you something. I'm going to come in just sort of a clean brush here right now. Sort of a clean brush. Dirty water, but wipe it out a little bit. And I'm just going to make a swipe down over these like this. And that softens that up because the pen bleeds. And so then I have these little underbelly feathers right here that were just pen lines. I didn't try to paint them in. I just put them in with a pen and then softened them with my brush. Okay, a little bit of red flow out of here to catch those. I think we need just one more little color. I'm going to go in right here and just grab a drop of this white and just let it fall on that wing right there. You see that? And then I'm going to grab this brush and I'm just going to drag some of this down in here like this. Didn't brush it, I just drug it down in there, and it's just going to continue to mushroom out and make the little river tributaries until it gets to a point where you go, I like it. I don't know, this Roo's out saying, I feel pretty good about myself today. Looking good. Looking good. Nothing wrong with that. Let me grab a little bit of this orange yellow right here, using the bird as the palette. Here we go. Boom, done. A little bit of this, maybe a little of this dark right here up in here. And I always like coming in with my pen and just putting some cross hatching and some messes up there too. All right, now dip my pen in the water and dry it out. Why did I dip my pen in the water? Well, because I had it on wet paint. And the same with this one. Just clean them up a little bit and pop them back in there, let them dry just for a second, and I think they'll be just fine. The good thing about those needle tips, if you don't jam them down like kids, first graders do with pencils, they tend to get a feel for holding up. They tend to hold up pretty well. So, okay. Wouldn't mind if I had a little bit of one of these preppy fountain pens. If I had my, I don't think I have it on the desk today. Where would it be if it's not on the desk? Might be in my bug out bag right here. Oh, there's where all you guys are hiding today, huh? Look at that. Oh, you rascals were down in the bug out bag over there. So, couldn't find my fountain pens because I was half asleep this morning. So this is the Safari pen. And what I'm going to do with it is, or I think I even have a number. Is there a number 5 here? Oh, there's a 5 right there. I have a 5 preppy pen. It's a pretty big pen, but this Lamy will do it too. I just want some black strips up in here. Just a little detail in this wing. And so that Lamy pen will really give me some detail there if I want to come in. And I knew this white was going to gray out a little bit just because I dropped it on top of that blue, but that's kind of what I was after. I wasn't after it to be just stark white. So there we go. Finished Roo. So he finally got going and out of the chute. Uh, Coming around the home stretch, finished up a roux. I'm going to do one more for you, just a smaller one with the same principle. I'll let you see how that works. I'm going to set this one aside and just let it dry. There's some heavy paint right here. My first tendency was to daub or scrub it out, but no, I'm going to leave it. I kind of like the way it contrasts against that white spot. And this is kind of what I do. I sort of look at it now, and I'll take it just a minute, and I'll go, there is one straight line that I want to change, and I can't believe there's a straight line in my painting, but it's right here. You see it right at the end of my brush right there? There's a little straight line right there. So I'm just going to go like this. Doop, get rid of that a little bit. There, did it. Okay. All right. I did not get my color preppy. I only have one color preppy, and that's a green one. Are you talking to somebody else? Maybe you're talking to someone else. Oh, yeah, y'all are. Y'all are having your own conversation. Sorry. Does anybody have any tips for using gouache? Okay. Yes. I don't paint with it. But the other one I have is paint. You can paint with gouache. Depends on how much water you use. You can thin it out and paint it like watercolor, or you can paint it like acrylic. It gets a little more expensive that way because you're painting a gouache paint and you're using it like acrylic tubes. You want to squeeze it out, but you can push gouache around and it dries a little differently than acrylic. But I don't paint with it much. I have some, Yasutoma made a whole series. They're coming out with a new series. I showed them in the art show. I demoed them in Orlando, and I asked them to change their name because they were calling them poster paint or something. And I said, no, that sounds like paint that first graders use all the time. And that's not what you want for professional artists to go say, oh, it's a poster paint. No, but it's gouache, and it's in a, I think I have a box here somewhere. I'm sorry. But they're in little capsules, and you unscrew the lids on, and you can turn them upside down. They won't fall out. And they're fascinating. But if you were to put some bowls down and put a little, I use a coffee stir, pop, 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 and I put some into each little dish and added water and made this beautiful paint with them. And so I painted them like watercolor there, and people loved the color that popped out of them. Gouache is a different style. All right, here we go. Didn't know if any of those questions were for me. Did you try the new Hobby Lobby paper? You know what? I did not. They had a delay in shipping it to where I live, but she was supposed to ship me some. If it comes in, I will still try it. And so the folks from Hobby Lobby, we had a conversation, and they talked to me and said, hey, we want to send you some of our new paper. We love meeting you in Orlando. And I was pretty tough on them, which they appreciated. In fact, the phone call was about, you ask us some hard questions. And I said, well, you asked me to. I didn't say, let me tell you about your paper. They said, what do you think about our paper? And I said, you got a minute? And they said, no, seriously, we asked. It was us. And I said, well, there's some things that bother me about your paper. It bothers me about how it doesn't feel like a loose roll. Stephen Dockery and I were talking about this. It's a paper that doesn't feel like it just happened. So if you follow me with this, when you do a cold press and you do a paper, a hammer paper or water paper, a rag cotton paper, you don't want it to be in patterns. Think about the paintings that they did a few years ago, or how they did ceilings a few years ago. Remember, everybody got into blowing popcorn on the ceiling, and then some guy comes along and goes, hey, let's just mop it up there. And then they got a tool, and all the little designs looked alike. They just repeated. You with me now? Bloop, 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 bloop. And some people like that, and you go like, why does our ceiling look like somebody just repeated the same design? Why is it not just a white sheetrock ceiling? Why did they think spraying popcorn on the ceiling would be easier? Oh, it was, but not for a resale or not for cleaning it off. And so sometimes watercolor patterns look like they've been pressed with one plate and the whole mold is over everything. So you go over here and you try to paint something else and you still get these little patterns. And you go, where are those patterns coming from? And you realize they're coming from the paper. And so when I explained it like that to them at the show, they went, yeah, that may be the complaint. We've never had anybody put it in construction terms before. And so part of that was they said, well, we're changing them. And so I don't know how they've changed them. But the thing I love about Kilimanjaro is, and the thing I love about several other handmade hammer mill papers, okay? This is not the only paper I love. This is the one that for this next year I've decided to paint on and just say, this is my paper. And it's been my paper for 12, almost 13 years now. I like it because it just lets the paint go wherever it wants, and my design is here, and I see the paper, but I don't see the design in the paper. Now, some of you like the design in the paper, and I'll give you an example of that. I painted a rooster that was a quilted rooster. You remember that? It had patterns and little stitches, and we got a crazy story about that when I first started doing this online. And that was painted on linen paper, and I wanted the look of linen cloth. I wanted that checker overlap woven look. And so I went looking for a paper that looked like cloth. Not repeating patterns this way, but just cloth this way. And I wanted that to show through my colors. And so I used more translucent or transparent colors that would let that linen pattern show through. So I looked for that. So if you love shapes, then those papers might be great for you. Do the inks dry lighter as watercolor does? Yes, Karen, they will dry lighter. Almost all of these inks will dry a little bit lighter, and so you'll see where it was really dark. But if I just keep this blue alone and don't touch it and don't saturate it with any other color, it's going to have a blue ultramarine pop that's pretty doggone bright. If your paper is bright white, and if your paper has a flat surface, and they respond differently to hot press papers than they do cold press paper. So now you're asking about the paint. All right, I'm going back to Cincinnati here on all the comments. Good morning, all the way back to the end. Okay. All right, don't see any more questions, so I'm going to move on. I'm going to paint another one, a smaller one this morning, and grab a little different music here for a second and change gears. So I'm going to lay this over here in a safe place, and we'll get a smaller piece of paper. There we go. There it is right there. Trying to let it lay flat right there. Ah, beautiful. Okay, so once again, looks familiar. It's just scaled down, and it is. I love this. This was done as a paint book, and it was done as literally a travel journal. I mean, it's nice, and I've took it for years on places. But I just got tired of carrying my paintings around, and then if I keep painting on the road, it all drips down the sides, which really doesn't bother me. It's hidden in the frame. They always ship this paint book with a piece of 300-pound in the front, and I ripped this one off just recently to paint on it, but a 300-pound piece of this. This is 140, and I love these little fly leaves in between each piece that I can sketch on, draw on, or use as scrap paper, and they're pretty heavy. I mean, this is amazing. You can actually paint on this, and it's very slick. It's vellum, has a vellum surface. It's kind of fun. Sometimes I'll just do that. If I'm doodling a honeybee or something, like last night I gave a couple honeybees away. If I'm doodling a little honeybee on this with a fountain pen, here's this 05. Let's see what it does. So if I'm just doodling a little bee like this, kind of coming down here, those of you, if you want to watch a fun documentary, watch the thing on Hank I was talking about. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable how this man just grabs a Sharpie. Jason, you'd love it. He sketches with Sharpies. It's a documentary about a guy named Hank. He was 87 years old. I don't have the name in front of me right now, but just search Hank the artist in New York, 87. He died just, I think in 2000, maybe 19, I believe Hank died. But he was 87 when this documentary was shot, and it's just remarkable how he captures people in a journal on the subway. So these wings are a little out of focus or out of shape for a honeybee, but you get the feel there. And this is painted on the fly leaf, which is in between the paper there, because I kind of like it. It's always just fun to do. See if I can get some paint. Wake up! Forgot to wake my paint up this morning, and the paint forgot to wake me up. Slept late, so just got off to a slow start today. Got to spray this water very carefully here. It's on my computer, and I'm going to still edit with this little computer today. I'm editing with my small computer due to these projects I got to finish for Coke and get them somewhere. So last night, I found myself, if you remember the story, here it is. Been heading off to, a little brown in those wings, don't you think? Just a little touch like that, and then take my finger and just touch it in there like this. Yeah, there we go. See that right there? That's good. I should have a little bitty brush somewhere. I was trying to find this brush the other day to tell some friends about it, and I couldn't find it. Here it was on the class. There it is. This is the brush that I started with in painting. I wanted you to finish seeing this. Look at this. My first painting ever, my first blue soft-shell crab was painted out of this box with this brush, and that was in 2005 or 2006. I don't even think about painting something. I was trying to just carry a journal artist. I was trying to carry, well, I think I may have it here. I think this is the actual original right here. Yes, this is when we went to Washington. I went to Washington with my son, August. Painted my first birds. All those were painted with this little pad and this. There's my first real painting that I showed to someone, my wife, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I love it." Notice there's no holidays, no snow, anything. That was painted with this right here. There it is right there. And it was on the front cover of a magazine. I was staying at the Watergate Hotel, and we were talking about Chuck Colson last night because I traveled with their organization for 3 years and got to travel with Chuck a few times into prisons, in and out. And after he'd had a life change through prison, and I'm working on this prison project right now. The video's out, and as soon as I get my hands on a copy, I'll let you see it. It's where I walk through the prison and tell the story of what we're doing. So last night we had our first launch meeting of turning this prison. My friend, this is the thing you can share. I have this friend who bought a prison. I told you this. He bought it for $1. And he didn't want to just go give him $1 for it and sign it. The state of North Carolina representatives met with him and said, what I'm doing in prisons has closed down 3 of your prisons. You should give them to me. And they said, we'll sell them to you. He goes, okay. He said, how about $1 for this one? So in Salisbury, bought the prison, the Rowan County. It's been there since 1930. So for 90 years, it's been a prison. Closed in 21. Closed in 20. And he bought it for $1. It's 30 acres. I met a farmer last night, yesterday, 2 days ago, and then last night again, Daryl DeBoer from South Dakota, who's flown in on his own expense to say, I want to do soil samples. I want to see if we can put a big garden out there for fresh herbs and vegetables, because there's a cooking school. So taking the prison, revamping some of the buildings, turning it into a trade school for the sons and daughters, starting with the boys first, 250 children of incarcerated parents who have met with their dads, and their dads have asked forgiveness and said, please don't wind up like me, get a job or learn a trade. And so they're going to go to this school. And it's a pretty expensive process to do that, build a school, but it's going to have a plumbing shop, an electrical shop, a welding shop, a digital art, an art shop. All of these are trade school areas in 18 months drilled down. There's a chapel there. There's a coffee shop there. There's another prison open up the road so people can come and as they visit their friends or relatives or whoever may be, family members incarcerated there, they can stop and they can see the difference of what's changed. And so there's hope about this whole coffee shop. I'm going to do a sculpture there, I think. My daughter and wife and I are working on that. I'm bringing some artists to do a large sculpture with some of the iron bars and the locks. Anyway, so it's just a door open to go do something different. I mean, when's the last time you got to go turn a prison into school? Oh, wait, when was the first time? Never. More, in 42 states in our country, there are more prisons than there are colleges. And so 80% of those men in prison today didn't have fathers in the homes. And so when Proverbs 2:26 has figured out a way to get these dads to meet with some of their children and say, I'm sorry, and to have a time with them. And it's it's an unbelievable time. The recidivism rate of children, 80%, 84% of the men there, 80% of their children of incarcerated parents will wind up in prison. Once they meet with their father and they go through this ceremony that they've been doing now for 7 years, and different things, the rate of children going back into prison is 2.8. 2.8. And so it's a lot of numbers to take in, but it really is documented. And state representatives last night, Paul Newby and Jim Sewell from South Dakota, they sent videos. Joe Gibbs sent a video last night from NASCAR and said, I'm in. In fact, I'm going to build the automotive shop. So just call it the Joe Gibbs Automotive Shop and put NASCAR on it. It's fine with us. You're in North Carolina. And so we go, okay. So that's the kind of stuff that's what I was doing last night. And I wound up meeting a young lady who's a violinist there. And I interviewed two people who've been through the system. I interviewed a grandmother who this organization changed the life of her daughter who was there last night. And so it's just pretty amazing. It's fun to be a part of something like that. So this one lady saw a bee. She said, you have a card? And I opened my little leather booklet and a bee fell out. She goes, oh, honeybee. So I just said, what's your name? And her name was Peyton, and I signed it and gave it to her. And I said, Peyton, you seem creative. What do you do? And she said, well, I try to play the violin. And so I pounced on her and I said, old man to a young, beautiful talent, don't stop. Keep plowing. And so that's the fun stuff that I get to do. This is fun little paper. That's what started me on that. Look at this. This is just a fly leaf. All right. You can do art on any paper, anytime, anywhere. Take a look at this paper color composed of this. So what? So what? But if you have a choice, if you're selling some paintings, you're able to buy different supplies and better supplies, I would say your color is going to look better on bright white paper where you can leave those holidays, okay? That's why I got into that. I teach as I tell, as I story tell, as I just move through life. That's where we are. Okay. Lisa, yeah, most all little journals that you purchase are going to be much creamier, much more beige. They just are harder. I don't know if they're easier to do, but yeah, you're going to find that. Yeah, and Jason's right on a couple things here. Let me mention this. He says he likes Kilimanjaro more and more, but it's rough on the Lamy. Yes, it is. And that's why sometimes you'll see me go to this pen and then come back with my Lamy and put in a little tone. It is so tough on the point, the nib of a Lamy. Okay. Let's see. Where are we going here? Where did you get your very first teeny tiny palette? Isn't that great? Listen to this. It's 8 mini disc set. It's made in England. And I bought it for $3 at the museum store in Washington, D.C. And they don't sell this brand anymore, but I think you can find it online. Hey, look, I'm gonna have you look for it if you want. Not now on the show, but later. It's Calder, C-A-L-D-E-R, Calder Colors, colors with a U, C-O-L-O-U-R-S, and it's made in Nottingham Road in England. And so I love it. It says, not for kids under this age. And so I was right in the little kitty department, and I needed some color, and I didn't have any anywhere. And I thought, that's cool. It's got a little key ring on it, which I wouldn't trust. But I had 2 of these, and I painted forever out of one of these. But this is it right here. We bought them and a little brush, and this is a little dagger brush made by Lowell Crowell. And I don't even think this brush is available anymore. If you see the end of it, can you see this right here? Maybe on this white paper right here. Look, it's cut like a little bit of a 45 angle. It's called a dagger. And I used it to press, but also, you see it pressed down there, but I could also use it for tiny little lines and that sort of thing. So it was a fun brush to just paint with and just pink around in there. I'm going to grab some brown in it right here and just put a little bit of shadow down here on this honeybee, just to add a little bit of shadow on this side. There he goes. So he starts looking a little better. Look at him now, huh? Whoa. And then now I'll come in here with a little bit of this brush on his edge. So I turned it upside down so the sharp point's down. It's a handy little brush for journal travel. And I'm sure, you know what, I need to check and see if Cheap Joe's makes a little dagger like this. I don't think they make one this small. I do think I may have a dagger that they make this larger. I don't see it right now, to tell you the truth. But anyway, it could be over there somewhere. I'm not seeing too straight this morning anyway. And I'm not even an alcohol guy. Okay, here we go. There we go. Just a little bit of this, touch it in here. See a light brush stroke. You get that there. And so I finished that B. There, he's done. He's kind of good. His legs up here look a little fuzzy and dark. I'm just going to touch them with a, there. I think we're done. No, so I got a splatter. How am I done? I haven't splattered him yet. I got a little bit of yellow right here. Just a little bit of yellow and dip in the water and just hit it right here off this. And then I'm going to pick this paper up and just blow that a little bit like this. There we go. So there's a little bee right there with some just, who knows. He popped into a flower, a lily maybe, and those, those pistils go everywhere. Boom, boom, boom. These preppy pens, somebody asked me this, ADD, brain fires. This is a green pen, and this came from Cheap Joe's. And I think you can order Preppy, Preppy on the website. Hey, they are great little rough working fountain pens for like $5. You'll love them. This came from the museum store. That's my brush. That's that story. One more painting. Golly, I have painted one rooster and talked the hour, but I think you've learned a little bit about paper. Now you see I made a mess on this piece of paper, so I'm going to have to paint on it now. There it is right there. I'll make something out of that. Here we go. Let's do it this way. Let's just do one more with this morning because I kind of liked it. Let's just do a drop right here. Boom. There it is. Small roo on here. Let's do a drop right here. Boom, boom. That's a lot of red. If I'm going to use that much red, I better put another spot of blue right there. Boom. Okay, and then a spot of yellow here. Just one little spot and another spot. And then maybe pick up just a touch of red right here. When I mean a touch, I mean a touch. There's a touch and there's a touch. Okay, so there's my rooster just from those dots. And let's grab a little brush and go to town here. Need a little piece of music, just something that would be kind of fun. Let's see if we can get talking about a fiddle. Let's put a little fiddle music on. Okay, so drill some of this water, spritz it out. Crazy how that comes together, isn't it? Just out of the dots. Don't you love that? It just blows my mind every time I see it. I can just go, that's so much fun. I love it. No pen here, just painting what falls out of the brush. Oh, that's how you painted it so close to the lines. You painted the lines in later. Why not? You can break any rule you want. There's no rules when you're having fun painting art. You should just enjoy what it is you're doing. I'm going to pull some of this out right here. I'm going to go in and find myself another little touch of that yellow and just drop it on the leg like this and let it run down, and drop it on the leg here, let it run down. I've got paint all over myself this morning. What am I doing? Had coffee with Stephen Dockery this week, and he informed me of something I didn't know. He plays the bagpipes. So, I don't know if I could paint, Steve, if you played them live in my studio. I think it'd probably be shaking my table. I'm sure when you learn the bagpipes, your mom did what she did with me with the banjo. Son, take a walk down to the road and face the quarry. And so that's what I would do. There you go. There's a little painting for you. Kind of a fun thing to do just with several drops of paint. Here's that painting sort of dried that I did first. There it is right there. Boom. You see this spot that I just let alone and stay wet? Very, very, very true to the ultramarine blue still in this bottle. So no, it didn't fade much because I didn't mess with it and I didn't add more water to it. Look, here's the thing. If you want your colors to bright, paint them like gouache. Leave them bold and leave them stroking in there. If you want them to lighten up and be a little more translucent, you add water. Paint and thin no more, as the old Baptist preacher said. Boom, I'll be here all week. No, I won't. Actually, I'm on the road. Hey, speaking of being on the road, I will not be painting Monday morning. Tuesday morning, depending on where I am, I'll probably catch a little Good News Roo. For those of you who are on Patreon, I'll be having a cup of tea somewhere before we get on to our next shoot. That may be true, maybe not. I'll send you a note. But basically what has to happen is I've got to be in Atlanta Monday, kind of early for a, can you see what I'm doing there? I'm taking that paper towel now and punching some of that out and letting those other colors underneath come through. Oh, I didn't tell you I was going to do that, huh? Look at that. Ooh. Turn that dark, overbearing rooster into feeling a little lighter about himself. And so I'm in Atlanta for a shoot, and the next day I think I'm waking up early and driving either to St. Augustine or Ocala first. Taking my grandson with me as my assistant shooter. He's 14. That's going to be fun. So road trip. Carol's holding down the fort here, and I'll visit with you a couple times live just to catch up with you. I appreciate you much. Thank you for being part of what I do. And actually, I think I'm a part of what you do. Because as I look at the conversations, I just see you guys doing the most creative things. Don't forget to share yourself, your art, your thoughts, ideas with other people. It's not offensive. It's just like, here's what I do. Here's what I learned. Don't just get into the world of saying, if you're not doing it my way, you're not doing it the best way. It's like a recipe. And people say, oh, you don't have my recipe. It's the best recipe. And we're like, no, it's not. And they say, well, how do you know? And I said, well, how do you know? You've never had mine and I've never had yours. So why don't we just say we both have great recipes? And they go, oh, I guess that does work. It's okay. So this is not the best paper. It's just one I love. This is not the best paint. It's just the paint that I love. Your paper and your paint have to be good to you. And then I would say be good to your pens. I'm pretty rough on pens, but I'm not the slowest artist in the world. I paint things very quickly, and I like to just see them go, and I love to share them. I sit down last night and did a little quick rooster and handed it to someone. And one of the guys from Roosters came over and said, oh, you're the rooster painter guy. We never met you, but we knew you left a few paintings around here and there. We have them at the bar. I went, really? I didn't have any idea. And so that's always kind of fun. Hey, take a sip right now and think of someone that you need to encourage. I need to look at my wall. Oh, got it. Boom. I'm going to send a text right now to someone. Blessings to you all. And thank you for sharing Roodoodles with other people. I will share more with you about 5 and 2. That's what the trade school is called, 5 and 2. So that rings a bell for some of you, 5 and 2. There's a story in the Bible from John, I believe it's chapter 9, where all these people get fed with 5 loaves and 2 fish. The dream of this organization is to keep 1 million children out of prison. And what's it going to take? It's going to take 1 million people who give to the organization. Do you realize if 1 million people gave $50 or $100 each, we could probably build 2 of these trade schools? So that's very doable, very doable. And so that's fascinating. So that's kind of where I am. It's just, this door just kind of opened and I'm just kind of standing there. And Cyril is my friend from India who was a compassion child and said, I'm going to come to this country and do something. He's been working deep within the prison system and ministry to prisons for the last 10 years. And then this idea just came to life when they said, we don't know what we're going to do with these prisons. And he said, sell me one. He, by the way, didn't give them $1. He went to 100 of his friends and said, give me a penny. I want to take them a bag full of pennies and say, here's 100 people who are counting on this. Don't you love that story? I do. This has been the most fun story that I've had ability to tell, make up. So love it, love it, love it. Woohoo! I'm in, Linda says. All right. I'll send you guys information on it. Hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you sign your name on something, and we're going to put your name somewhere inside the prison. just on your name. But if you want to give a little bit, you can do that too. That's the fun thing to do. How fun is this? 1 million people, keeping 1 million people out of prison. Come on. You realize if that started happening around the world, what would happen to the children in our society today? And they learned a trade, okay? I'm not knocking colleges here, but when they go to college, the ones that have sent through college, the expense is outrageous on the organization. He's been sending more than hundreds and hundreds and even getting into the thousands of people through college. But the point is this, the cost on that is just outrageous. So now you get this concept where you say, what if you learn a trade? And what if you do that trade here in America? And we're getting veterans involved who can come and help teach some of those trades. Whew. All right, I'm off my soapbox here. We'll talk later. Love it, love it, love it. Blessings to you all. I got a harmonica here on the wall.